The dark history of the Colosseum. They call it a wonder of the ancient world, a marvel of engineering, a symbol of the greatness of Rome. But the truth behind the Colosseum is far darker than any tourist brochure or history book dares to admit. Behind its towering arches, beneath the polished stones, and within the roar of thousands of spectators, there existed a world of fear, death, and relentless control. This is the story of the Colosseum, how it worked, what happened inside it, and why it still echoes as one of humanity's most chilling monuments. Construction of the Colosseum began in 70 AD under Emperor Vespasian and was completed in 80 AD by his son, Titus. It was designed to impress, to awe, and to dominate. Yet from the moment its foundations were laid, it was not just a stadium, it was a machine designed to entertain the masses while displaying the absolute power of Rome. Every detail, from the height of its seats to the design of its underground chambers, was engineered to control, manipulate, and terrify. It was a stage, and life and death were the actors. The amphitheater could hold between 50 and 80,000 spectators. The crowd was arranged with precision. At the front sat the emperor himself, a marble throne elevated above the arena, where he could command attention and dictate fate. Behind him were the senators, the nobles, and the wealthy elite. Further up, ordinary citizens filled the middle tiers, and at the very top, women, slaves, and the poor were packed into the highest seats. Every spectator had a place determined by law, every life ordered by class. The Colosseum was not just a theater of spectacle, it was a theater of social hierarchy, a mirror of Roman society. But the grand, sunlit arena floor was only the visible part of a much larger, far more terrifying system. Beneath the sand and wooden planks lay the hypogeum, an elaborate underground network of tunnels, cages, elevators, and trapdoors. Here, gladiators waited, shackled and trembling, their hearts pounding as they listened to the distant roar of the crowd above. Exotic animals, lions, tigers, bears, leopards, even elephants, were confined in cages, anticipating their release. The hypogeum was the Colosseum's heart, a labyrinthine mechanism designed to maximize drama, fear, and unpredictability. Every door, every pulley, every trap was operated by slaves and engineers, ensuring that at any moment, anything could appear in the arena. The roar of a lion, the charge of an elephant, the clash of steel, all were carefully orchestrated to provoke terror and awe. Gladiators themselves were not heroes. Most were slaves, prisoners of war, or condemned criminals, forced into the arena for survival. A few volunteered, lured by the promise of fame, money, or the illusion of glory. But no matter their origin, all were bound to the rules of the games, rules designed to entertain, not to preserve life. Every swing of a sword, every parry, every step on the sand was watched, analyzed, and judged by thousands of people whose cheers or jeers could determine life or death. Victory brought fame, wealth, or extended life. Failure often meant death in front of a cheering crowd. The events held in the Colosseum varied widely, yet all shared a common thread. They were designed to inspire awe and fear. Gladiatorial combats were the most famous, pitting man against man in battles that could last minutes or hours. The participants wielded swords, shields, spears, and tridents, trained in special schools to hone their bodies, minds, and reflexes. The fights were brutal, but the real danger often came from the unexpected. Trapdoors could open beneath a fighter's feet, releasing a lion or a bear into the sand. Hidden elevators could bring forth groups of enemies, throwing the combatants into chaos. Nothing in the Colosseum was left to chance, yet every moment was orchestrated for maximum drama. The Romans did not limit their cruelty to human combat. Animal hunts, known as venaciones, were spectacles of violence and dominance. Exotic creatures were brought from across the empire, lions from Africa, tigers from India, elephants from faraway lands, often transported over long distances in chains, starved, and provoked a heightened aggression. The arena became a jungle, a hunting ground, and a stage for fear. Animals were often killed not out of necessity but for spectacle. Thousands died each year, their deaths applauded as entertainment. The Colosseum was a monument to human triumph over nature, yet also to human indifference to suffering. Public executions were another form of entertainment. Criminals, rebels, and prisoners were forced into the arena to die in front of thousands. Some were mauled by wild animals. Others were made to reenact historical or mythical battles, only to meet inevitable death. To the Romans, these deaths were not tragic. They were educational and entertaining, a reminder of the consequences of defiance. Life and death were public property, performance, and spectacle, all rolled into one. The Colosseum's design amplified the terror. A massive retractable awning, known as the Valerium, shaded parts of the arena, protecting spectators from the sun. Operated by trained sailors, it also created dramatic effects of shadow and light. The arena's acoustics carried every scream, every clash of metal, and every roar of an animal to the furthest corners of the amphitheater. The architecture itself became part of the performance, enhancing both spectacle and fear. The psychological impact of the Colosseum extended beyond the arena floor. The crowd participated actively in life or death decisions. Popular belief suggests the thumbs up or thumbs down gestures could influence whether a fallen gladiator would be spared or killed. Whether myth or reality, the idea highlights the power dynamics at play. Life, death, and survival were not solely in the hands of the combatants, but also in the hands of the spectators, manipulated by the whims of the emperor. The games were a tool of control, a method of pacifying the populace, distracting them from famine, corruption, and political unrest, a tactic famously summarized as bread and circuses. Gladiators trained in ludi, schools that were prisons disguised as academies. They learned combat techniques, discipline, and endurance. Their bodies were conditioned, their minds hardened, but no training could fully prepare them for the chaos of the arena. Many died young. Others survived only to be forced into more fights, becoming tools of spectacle, their lives measured in performance and applause. Even in victory, their existence was defined by control and exploitation. Fame and wealth were possible, but the shadow of death never left the sand beneath their feet. The Colosseum was not only a place of death, but also of incredible innovation. The hypogeum's engineering allowed rapid changes in the arena. Trapdoors, elevators, and lifts made appearances sudden and terrifying. Scenery could rise and fall, animals could appear without warning. Engineers, mostly enslaved, operated these mechanisms tirelessly, ensuring that every performance achieved maximum dramatic effect. It was a mechanical masterpiece, but one built on the suffering of humans and animals alike. Even the numbers involved are staggering. Ancient sources claim that thousands of gladiators and tens of thousands of animals died over the course of the game's history. Emperor Titus reportedly staged games that required the deaths of over 9,000 animals in a single series of events. These numbers are incomprehensible, yet they underscore the Colosseum's function as a machine of spectacle and mortality. It was not a celebration of life, but a glorification of dominance, control, and fear. As the empire evolved, so did the Colosseum's events. Naval battles were staged when the arena was flooded. Entire mythological wars were reenacted, often using human participants as actors doomed to die. Execution methods became more elaborate. The games were designed to awe, terrify, and remind the populace of Rome's power, both natural and supernatural. It was theater on a scale the world had never seen, and one that blurred the line between entertainment and cruelty. The Colosseum's dark history is also a history of economics. The events were expensive to stage, consuming enormous resources. Exotic animals had to be captured, transported, and maintained. Gladiators had to be trained, fed, and cared for, sometimes to extend their lives for further combat. Thousands of workers were employed to maintain the structure, operate mechanisms, and coordinate the shows. The games were a financial and social apparatus, sustaining an empire built on spectacle and oppression. Despite the dangers, some gladiators became celebrities. Their names were known throughout Rome. They had fans, supporters, and sometimes sponsors. But even fame could not shield them from death. Every fight was a negotiation with mortality. Every battle a performance that could end in applause or silence, in survival or demise. Even the strongest and most skilled gladiators could be torn apart by chance, a sudden trapdoor, a hidden beast, or an unexpected opponent. The Colosseum was also a political tool. Emperors used the games to demonstrate power, placate the public, and distract from unrest. Free admission and lavish events ensured loyalty and compliance. The spectacle was propaganda, the emperor as divine ruler, the city as obedient, and the population as both audience and participant in a grand moral lesson, one where life and death were entertainment and mercy was optional. Over time, the Colosseum suffered. Earthquakes, fires, and neglect damaged the structure. Stones were looted to build churches, palaces, and homes. By the Middle Ages, it was no longer a symbol of power but a ruin, inhabited by the homeless, used as a fortress, and slowly claimed by time. Yet even in decay, it retained its aura of terror. The shadows of the hypogeum, the echoes of the crowd, and the memory of countless deaths lingered in every arch and stair. Today, the Colosseum is a tourist attraction. Millions visit each year, taking photos, marveling at its size and architecture, and imagining the gladiators who once fought there. But beneath the stone, the sand, and the light lies the history few acknowledge, of thousands of lives lost, of human and animal suffering, and of a society willing to cheer at cruelty for the sake of power and entertainment. The Colosseum was an architectural masterpiece, a mechanical marvel, and a symbol of empire. But it was also a machine of control, a theater of terror, and a monument to human exploitation. It reminds us that greatness can coexist with brutality, that civilization can achieve astonishing heights while trampling morality beneath its feet, and it whispers a warning across the centuries. The structures we build, the entertainment we crave, and the power we wield often come at a cost measured in human life. As you stand in its shadow today, imagine the roar of the crowd, the clashing of swords, the terror in the eyes of a gladiator, the hunger in a lion, the fear in the tunnels below. Imagine the mechanical doors opening suddenly, revealing chaos, blood, and death. The Colosseum was not just a building, it was a stage for the extremes of humanity, for both innovation and horror. Every stone, every arch, every crack holds the echo of suffering and control. It is a reminder that the past, no matter how beautiful it appears in photographs or history books, often conceals truths far darker than we dare to acknowledge. The Colosseum endures. Its grandeur is undeniable. Its engineering remains astonishing. But its dark legacy is permanent. It was designed to awe, to dominate, to entertain, and to kill. And in that design lies a lesson for every generation. Power, spectacle, and survival are intertwined, but the cost is never invisible. The Colosseum tells us that every empire has a shadow, and every monument has a story written in blood, fear, and the bones of the fallen. Even now, after 2,000 years, the echoes remain. In every archway, every corridor, every weathered stone, you can sense it. The anticipation of the crowd, the desperation of the fighters, the roar of the beasts, and the unyielding authority of an empire that measured its greatness not just in achievements, but in the spectacle of mortality. The Colosseum is a testament to human brilliance, yes, but also to human cruelty. And it will never let us forget it.